Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. I praise God, I thank Him. I ask Him to guide us to the right path. I ask Him to forgive our sins. Brothers and sisters, I'm very honored to be here before you to talk about a topic that needs to be talked about, which is jihad and terrorism. But before I start, I will thank the Madison Muslim community for organizing such an event, and also to thank you for coming. I think the Madison Muslim community cannot thank you enough to always respond whenever they invite you in the events. Especially our friend Ismail, we met many times. He's a very busy guy, but he always makes time to come. I think Madison is our home. We're working together to make sure that everybody feel that he is in his or her home, and we'll continue doing that. Thank you for giving us the opportunity and opening your arms for us, and let us continue together doing that. My topic, I think, is a very interesting topic because we talked about it home. We watched it in TVs, social media, jihad. What is jihad? And everybody thinks that, yes, today is a day of jihad, and when jihad comes, everybody's gonna die. And we as human beings, we don't want to die. We wanna live. And we don't want anyone to take that from us. Then, if that is the interpretation of jihad, if I hear the word of jihad, I will run. If any Muslim hear the word of jihad, if that is their interpretation and the meaning, they will run. If a Christian or a Jew hear the word of jihad, they will run. Then what is jihad in Islam? What is jihad in Islam? We as Muslims who follow the Prophet Muhammad, we take our teachings from the Quran, which is a revelation was given to the Prophet Muhammad, and also we strictly follow the authentic statements that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, stated in his life. To begin with the word jihad, jihad means linguistically striving or struggling. That is the linguistic meaning of jihad. To strive or to struggle. This is their linguistic meaning of jihad. How about the meaning of jihad in a religious sense? Jihad has many different meanings. And somebody may say, oh, the Sheikh is trying to cover up, trying to hide the word jihad. No, it's not. Because we take all those meanings from the Quran and from the Sunnah, which is the statements of the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him. And I'll bring all that. Just be patient with me. Sometimes I'll be saying it in Arabic, and Arabic is not my language, and it's not many of you's language, so you may be just patient with me. We said jihad has many meanings. And the proof of that is from the Quran and from the Sunnah. One of the meanings of jihad is to strive, to struggle, to become a person that follows the commands of God. That is number one. Number two is to struggle and strive to stay away from what God forbidden. Both of those meanings, we can take them from the Quran and from the Sunnah of the Prophet, which is the statement of the prophets. God in the Quran, which I will recite in Arabic, because the Quran is Quran when it's been recited in Arabic. Anything else is a translation of the Quran. God said in the Quran, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا وإن الله لمع المحسنين. God said, those who strive on my way, that is the word jihad. Those who strive on my way, I will certainly take them onto my path. Indeed, God loves those who are good in deeds. He didn't say God loves those who kill people or fight. He said he loves those who are good in deeds. That is the exact meaning that has been taken from the Quran that tells us what jihad is. Then the first form of jihad is to strive in doing the commands of God. And the second is to strive to say what God forbid. What are the commands of God? How a person should be a mujahid, not a mujahid. When ISIS or Al-Qaeda say mujahid, is when to be a mujahid, when the Prophet said you are a mujahid. The mujahid is the one that will do the commands and stay from what forbidden. What are the commands? God said, you pray 5 times a day. You strive to maintain those 5 daily prayers. God said, be kind and nice to your parents. You strive, even if you have different ideas with your parents, even if they're against you, or you have different things. But God said, you strive to be kind and nice to your parents. You are performing jihad. God said, you have to be nice to your neighbor. Your neighbor is not nice to you. You can simply act the same way that he's acting or she's acting. But God said, you must perform jihad, which is to struggle and strive to make sure that you do good to them. God said, you feed the poor. You have the money. It's not easy to give away. Strive to take some and give it to them. God said, if you see something wrong, stop it. You see something wrong, you strive yourself to stop it. This is the person who's performing jihad. What God forbid? God said, you do not tell people bad things. You don't curse at them. You don't disrespect them. You strive yourself not to do that. You don't lie. It's prohibited. You strive yourself, even if you have to lie to cover your mess or your problems, you do not lie. You strive yourself not to lie. Do not backbite. It's prohibited. You strive yourself not to do it. Do not harm your neighbor, you strive yourself not to, and so on. This person is a mujahid. He's performing jihad, what it meant to be jihad in Islam. Ibn al-Qayyim, the Shaykh stated, quoted his statement. He said in Arabic, أكمل المسلمين إيمانا أحسنهم جهادا. He said the Muslim who has the most complete belief is the one that has the best jihad. And he said, وَهَذَا الْجِهَادُ يَنْقَسِمُ إِلَى أَرْبَعَةِ أَقْسَامٍ. And this jihad is divided into 4 categories. First is jihadul nafs, to make jihad within yourself, to control yourself to be a positive person, to keep yourself not to be a negative person. Jihad al-hawa, you have desires, make sure that you do not fulfill your desires with something that is wrong, it's unjust. That's jihad al-nafs, jihad al-hawa. And he said jihad al-shaytan, which is the Satan that always work day and night to corrupt us. He said you have to be 100% alert to reject what shaitan whispers in your ears. The last one, he said, jihad dunya. This world, you have to be a mujahid to limit yourself, not to be extreme. In everything you do, be in the middle. You want to make money? Make it in the right way. Whatever you do, make it in the right way. He said, if a person performs these 4 jihad, he said, وَهَذَا هُوَ أَفْرَضُ جِهَادًا فَرَضَهُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا. He said, this is the most emphasized jihad that God obligated upon us. This is jihad. What is the next form of jihad? It's jihadul munafiqeen, to perform jihad against the hypocrites. In each nation, there will be hypocrites. What they do, they smile on your face, but they hate you with their hearts. That's what Islam calls hypocrites. They don't stop with that. They will talk, they will write to spread bad things against the person that they dislike. And this is what we're dealing with. Misconceptions about Islam. Who's doing it? It's not these great innocent people in Madison, Illinois, in America in general. But there are few people who work hard to fabricate those misconceptions and pour it to their innocent people. So they can keep that with their mind. Their goal is to initiate this hatred toward Muslims and Islam. But they cannot win, just like ISIS and Al-Qaeda cannot win. Number one is, they try to create misconceptions about jihad, and they want us to believe that that's what jihad is. But today I will tell you, those people, Islam is telling us we have to perform jihad against them. How can we perform jihad against those people? Bil-ilmi wal-bayan. With knowledge and clearing their misconceptions, or the misconceptions that they created against Muslims and Islam. It's not physical jihad. That's exactly what the Prophet ﷺ did in his life. The hypocrites, when they spread rumors, the Prophet would perform jihad by educating the people around him about those people and the misconceptions that they want to introduce to the people. So our responsibility as Muslims is to perform this jihad all the time. And that's exactly what we are doing. We are right now performing jihad. Who is among this audience that is not comfortable being around us today? If you are not, just raise your hand. Who is not comfortable being around here today? I think everybody is comfortable being around here because there's no threat. But we are performing jihad. We are performing jihad. How? We are here to clear the misconceptions that was created, innovated by the hypocrites to make Islam and Muslims look bad, to separate us, to make us run away from each other. This is our job. This is the jihad of the munafiqeen. Ibn Uthaymeen, a great scholar, he was asked, how can we go against the munafiqeen in terms of jihad? He said, bil-ilmi wal-bayan, with knowledge, educating the people, and clearing the misconceptions that they create. Then we're performing that. The last one is, which is, I think, important or very important. Jihad al-a'da. Jihad al-a'da. To perform jihad against the enemy. To perform jihad against the enemy. So now we're going through the forms of jihad. The last one is performing jihad against the enemy. This is physical jihad. You know, in America, we have Ismaili here. They have something called selective service system, right? Whenever you turn 18, you have to sign. If you're an immigrant, you come here, you want to be a citizen, you have to be signing that. They're called selective service system. What does that mean? To make you understand what physical jihad means. Ali, one of the companions of the Prophet, he used to tell his friends, when you talk to people, talk to them and give them examples that they are familiar with, so they can understand exactly what are you about to tell them. Before I introduce you the physical jihad, which is jihad against the enemy, I will come to something that we all know, which is, in America, selective service system, which means that you have to sign an agreement that whenever an aggressive enemy is attacking this country, you will attack back. You will defend the country. You will defend the country. Everybody here will defend the country because that is a threat. And the person who's threatening the country, regardless of his religion, he is an enemy. And in American law, every citizen will be obligated to sign that, and when that happens, God forbid, you have to fight against that enemy. Number one, if you don't, the consequences. If you don't, that is the idea of jihad for 1400 years. It's been being implemented in America today. The Prophet, he said, if you're in your land, and this is what he did, if there's an enemy that is attacking you, you put all religious differences aside. You come together to defend the land from that enemy. That is jihad. Prophet, if you don't, that is a major sin. In America, if you don't, That is a major violation of the law. You see how? But because of these hypocrites, they went far to make sure that we don't see that. We're all human beings. All we do is to make sure we have a good life. That's what religion do to the societies, to bring good life, but not to bring destruction in societies. So in Islam, now you understand why Islam said there must be jihad. If America is being attacked today, me, myself, as a Muslim, I must perform jihad to make sure that I go against that enemy. The Muslim who live in another country, if an enemy comes, he's obligated to go against the enemy. Because he cannot sit and wait to die in front of he or her children, to lose whatever they have. They must come together and perform what we call jihad, which is to go against an aggressive army. Look at all the similarity that the selective service system has with Muslims. Women are exempted from this. Am I wrong or right? Huh? The selective service system doesn't apply to the women and children under the age of 18. Islam, when that happened, Islam said, women, you cannot go anywhere. It's not obligated upon you. You can look at the similarity. It's as if America is applying what Islam says, do it to have security and stability in your nation. One of the great scholars of Islam, he said Muhammad Abdu, he said, I went to the West. I saw Islam, but I did not see Muslims. He said, I saw Islam, but I did not see Muslims. What does he mean? He said, because of most of the system, the characters, behaviors, dealings, is based on Islam. This is what I learned in my country, and I saw it being practiced in the West. Then there must be connection. What is the connection? It's the connection of humanity. Islam is not a religion of violence, and it does not call for violence. Rather, Islam condemns all types of violence. Islam calls for peace, cooperation, maintaining justice. This is what Islam is, maintaining justice. Islam provides a good environment for everybody, Muslims or non-Muslims. This is jihad in Islam. Anything else is not jihad. So I want to clear up the misconception or some of the misconceptions that people have in jihad. It was created by the people that I talked about earlier, that jihad is telling us that every non-Muslim is a legitimate subject to be attacked by a Muslim. That's what you see in the internet, that every non-Muslim have to be attacked by a Muslim to perform jihad. What that jihad is in Islam. You go back to the history of jihad, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he lived with non-Muslims, not just neighbors, but he visited them when they're sick. They invited them for food, he ate with them, he made business with them, he traveled with them. When he was running, when he was kicked out from Mecca, his guide was a non-Muslim. If that was the case, every non-Muslim should be killed and attacked. Then the Prophet Muhammad, he cannot disobey God. He must do it, but he didn't do it. That means that we as Muslims, we cannot do that because we are commanded to follow the Prophet Muhammad. God said in the Quran, وَإِن تُطِيعُوهُ تَهْتَدُوا. If you obey him and follow him, you will be guided. And this is what he did. So then it's wrong to say every non-Muslim is subject to be attacked by a Muslim. No, that's wrong. Those few people who are doing it, as the Sheikh said, we know that we know what they're doing, and we're against that. We condemn that. And I like what he said, as we become like expert in condemning. We do it every single day. Because that's our religion is telling us to do, and we're doing it. Then Muslims and non-Muslims, Islam is telling us that we can have a peaceful land, a peaceful environment to live together with no problems. Who said that? Because Islam, we said we follow the rules. We follow the Quran and the Sunnah. God said, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. God said, He did not forbid you to be just to those people who have different belief with you, who did not fight against you, to be nice and kind to them. Isn't this a base to live the same place peacefully together in the Quran? Yes. We are commanded by God, if we have neighbors who are peaceful, we have citizens that are peaceful, we must be just. We must be peaceful. We must deal with them the way they deal with us as Muslims. Anything else is not Islam, because it's not from the Quran, it's not from the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. This is in the Quran. The other misconception is, which is a misconception or a wrong translation of jihad, which is a holy war, which is taken from the Christians, if you know about it, a justifiable war. There's nothing like that in Islam. Because for those who speak Arabic, if we translate jihad and holy war, they have no connections linguistically. Because jihad means struggle. Holy means in Arabic, al-muqaddasa. War means in Arabic, al-harb. Then there's a big, but it's not a mistake. It was not done by mistake. It was done intentionally. Those people who translated jihad as a holy war, they did it intentionally to scare people, to make people understand one thing, that jihad is evil. But that is wrong. Jihad is not a holy war. Jihad is what we exactly said. Another thing that they always talk about jihad, they said Islam spread by sword, by fighting, by violence. That is wrong. The Prophet Muhammad, when he came to Mecca, he spent 13 years calling people. He never raised his hand even to point at somebody. Peaceful dialogues. Talk to them freely. They accept. They don't want to accept. It's not your responsibility. God told him it's not your responsibility to guide the people. Your responsibility is to convey the message. That was the responsibility of Prophet Abraham. That was the responsibility of Prophet Moses. That was the responsibility of Prophet Jesus, to convey the message. Who guides the hearts is God, and He's the only one who can do that. Then why you want to force somebody to be a Muslim? That goes against the teachings of Islam. God said, وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَعَلَهُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً. If He wants, He can make all of us one nation, believe in one thing, do the same thing together. But He said, no, I don't want to do it. وَلَكِنْ اخْتَلَفُوا. He made them different. Different belief, different choices. وَلِذَلِكَ خَلَقَهُمْ. He said, that's why I created you, to be different. But that difference should not be a mean to hate and to fight against one another. No, God said, لِتَعَارَفُوا. The Sheikh said that, لِتَعَارَفُوا, so you can know each other. Life can be more interesting. I'm from Gambia. All of them from Wisconsin, he's from Illinois. And we must have somebody from Pakistan, Masoud is from India. We all come together. Today we're eating, they have spicy food here. So you see, life become interesting when you put things together. This is why God wants us to do, to know each other, not to fight. Not to fight, is to know each other, to enjoy the time that we spend with one another. This is the reason why God created us different. Another misconception is that there are verses in the Quran, which I will end with, many of them, that are misquoted by those criminals. By those criminals. There are two kinds of criminals. When Islam is talking, there are two kinds of criminals. The criminal who act like he's good, and the criminal who act like a criminal. The criminal who act like a criminal, we know them. In Islam, who are those? We know them very clear. Number one, ISIS. They are criminals, according to Islam, because their actions. Al-Qaeda, they are criminals. Boko Haram, in Nigeria, they are criminals. Al-Shabaab in Somalia, they are criminals, and name them. And who are the criminals that hide themselves? Are the ones that write these misconceptions and act innocent and try to brainwash others to keep them away from people that they need to know and enjoy life together. Then that is a misconception. There are verses in the Quran that talked about fight, kill, retaliate. Those verses, I'll tell you I have 3 more minutes, what is the nature of the Quran. The nature of the Quran is divided into 3 things. Number 1 is Al-Qur'anu naba'u man kana qablakum. Wa khabaru man sayati ba'dakum. Wa hakamu ma bainakum. Quran gives us the stories, the news of the people who came before us. Anything that happened before you, the Quran will tell you how it happened and how that person or those people get out of that scenario or situation. That's number 1. Number 2 is that Quran will tell us what will happen in the future. Number 3 is Quran will draw a system for us to have a successful life within our friends, families, in our societies. That is what this Quran is. So when Quran tells you that قَاتِلُوهُمْ, fight against them, Quran is telling you that the Prophet Muhammad was in a situation that he had the agreement with non-belief, with his enemies. And his enemies did not keep up with that agreement. He doesn't have a way out of it because he already signed the agreement. God sent a revelation to tell us how he get out of that situation. You fight against them because of they initiated it. You cannot grab that verse and say, oh, in Wisconsin, go fight against them because they are non-believers. That is wrong. It's to inform us. And those similar verses, you will find them in the Quran. You will find them in the Quran, but they are misinterpreted. The last verse that I will end with is the guideline of We want to call it selective service system in Islam. You want to call it jihad in Islam. God said, وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا. Fight in the path of Allah those who fight against you, and do not go beyond the limits. What is beyond the limits? If somebody fight you, take your land, push them back, take your land back, and keep. But he said, وَإِن جَنَحُوا لِلسَّلْمِ. Even the enemy, if they come and offer peace, you take it. You incline to that peace, and you make a peaceful resolution. So brothers and sisters, I'm out of time, but this is what I know of jihad, studying Sharia. And I thank everybody for coming, and I ask, I beg you and everybody around us to keep this dialogue moving and going on. We can know more each other. We can do better things in our places, in our cities and our counties. Thank you so much.